Good day, everyone. We are the Group 5. Our topic is all about David KOLB'S learning theory experiential learning cycle. What is KOLB'S experiential learning theory? KOLB'S experiential learning theory combines a four-stage learning cycle with four learning styles to provide a powerful foundation for learning and development. Learning cycle and learning styles, it is important because KOLB'S models highlights the importance of the reflection component in the learning cycle. It is reflection allows the student to process what just happened during the experience. In the reflective observation stages, student can both recount and evaluate their experience. And the learning style important because it is focused on the learner's personal development and perspective. Unlike the conventional deductive method, the learner is responsible to guide his learning process and experiential learning. Experiential learning is a great way to learn because it allows students to apply knowledge in real-life situations. So, by the way, who is David KOLB? David A. KOLB is an American psychologist, professor, and educational theorist best known for his work in experiential learning. His learning styles model was one of the first tools for evaluating individual learning preferences and has had a big influence on the educational sector. So, muna siya ang noun ni David KOLB. Muna siya ang psychologist and educational theorist who is perhaps best known for his theory of experiential learning. So in addition to developing a theory that outlines how experiential learning takes place, KOLB is also known for his learning style inventory that remains quite popular among educators today. So muna siya si David KOLB. Isa siya sa psychologist. Siya ang best known yun sa experiential learning cycle and styles. The David KOLB developed his theory. Kanusa ug asa. David KOLB, he was promoted to associate professor in 1970. During his time at MIT, KOLB developed an interest finding the best fit for individual learners, which eventually blossomed into his theory of experiential learning. David KOLB is an American education theorist whose interest mas ga-focus siya sa experiential learning. Experiential learning theory involves learning from experience. It can be defined as a learning process where knowledge results from the combinations of grasping and transforming an experience. This is the core of KOLB'S experiential learning theory. So it includes two parts. The first part is detailed a four-stage cycle that the learning experience follows. And the second part focuses on the learning styles and the cognitive processes that occurred for learners to acquire knowledge. So, ang akong ka-group member ang mag-discuss about aning two parts of experiential learning kay David KOLB. Later, diri na to mahibalan ang 4 stages learning cycle ug ang 4 learning styles. Kung unsa gyud ka powerful, or unsa ka importante nga kailangan jud nato matun-an about aning learning experience na na-develop ni David KOLB'S.
These are the KOLB'S learning style. In general, KOLB'S developed his theory of experiential learning and the associated learning styles model in response to his observation of how people learn. He believed that learning is a dynamic process that involves both cognitive and affective elements, and that individuals learn best when they engage in an active and reflective process of learning from their experiences. Kolb's learning cycle, which he introduced in 1984. It describes the four stages of experiential learning, which is the concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. According to Kolb, learners move through these four stages in clinical process of learning from their experiences. Kolb also proposed that individuals have different learning styles, which are preference for how they process information and learn how their experiences. The four learning styles he identified are diverging, assimilating, converging, and accommodating. Understanding this learning style can help educators and trainers design learning experiences that are more effective and engaging for learners with different preferences. Overall, Kolb's model of experiential learning and his associated learning styles model have been influential in the field of education and training. They provide a framework for understanding how individuals learn and how educators can design learning experiences that are more effective and engaging for learners.
Number 1. Concrete Experience or CA. The experiential learning cycle is typically presented with concrete experience at the top, to signify that's where the process begins. At this stage, learners encounter an experience. This could be either a completely new experience or a new reimagined experience that has already happened. Cole believed that the key to learning lies in involvement. According to him, it's not enough for learners to just read or watch demonstration to acquire new knowledge. As such, each learner should actively engage in an experience. This could involve being exposed to a new task or a new way of carrying out a project they are already familiar with. While the experience is usually a personal one, it might also be a shared experience. In this situation, learners acquire knowledge by observing, hearing about, or reading about someone else's experiences. And this kind of social learning comes loaded with benefits. Number 2, reflective observation or RO. Concrete experiences are followed by reflective observation. As such, after engaging in an experience, learning should step back to reflect on the task or activity. This stage in the learning cycle allows the learner to ask the question and discuss the experience with others. For most individuals, this is where seeing and doing transforms into the real time absorption of new information. In practice, this could mean a situation where a person is shown how to accomplish a goal. Then they look at how it could be applied in different circumstances. Communication is vital as it allows learners to identify any discrepancies between their understanding and the experience itself. Discussing the experience with others helps to ease the reflection process by introducing other points of view. At this stage, learners will also try to place the experience alongside other previous experiences to look for patterns or notable differences. This helps them to reflect on the discrepancy and gap between their understanding and the experience itself. Number 3, abstract conceptualization or AC. Reflective observation leads to abstract conceptualization. In this stage, learners form new ideas or alter their current understanding based on the reflections that arose from the previous stage. Learners move from reflective observation to abstract conceptualization when they begin to classify concepts and form conclusions on the event that occurred. Abstract conceptualization gives learners the chance to assess how their new ideas can be applied in the real world. They can do so by interpreting the experience and making comparison to their current understanding of the concept. When learners return to a task, they can return with the goal of applying their conclusion to new experiences. In other words, they generate abstract principles that they can apply to future situations. After all, the focus lies in drawing conclusions and learning lessons based on the experience. This shows us that information is a lot easier to retain if it is relevant to our lives and we are given an opportunity to apply it. Number 4, active experimentation or AA. The last stage of the cycle involves active experimentation. At this stage, learners apply their new ideas to the world around them. This allows them to see if there are any changes in the next occurrence of the experience. This stage offers an opportunity for learners to test out their new ideas and lessons gathered from the experience. By actively experimenting with different concepts, individuals can learn how to associate when they have experience with new ideas and innovations. This experimentation results in new concrete experiences that effectively trigger the beginning of the next cycle. Life effectively amounts to a series of interlinked experiences.
So good day, I am just Dali Jijas. So I'm going to discuss the Kolb learning theory. So Kolb extended his learning cycle in 1948 and introduced a model about different learning style. So combine these models create Kolb's experiential learning theory, which explores learners' inner cognitive processes. In this, it explained that through combining these models, Kolb able to develop experiential learning theory, which focuses on the cognitive process that occurs within a learner as they engage in different experiences. By understanding this cognitive process, educators can design learning experiences that are better suited to the needs and preferences of their students. In other words, Kolb's experiential learning theory emphasizes the importance of actively engaging with new information, reflecting one's experiences, and making connections between past and present knowledge in order to enhance the learning process. According to him, our learning styles preferences is actually the result of two pairs of variables. These variables interact with each other and shape our individual's preferences and the factors that contribute to how we prepare to learn. Understanding these two variables and how they interact can help us identify our learning style and develop more effective learning strategies. This can be seen as two separate choices that we make. The first choice is how we perceive and process informations, which can be either through abstract conceptualizations like our logical thinking or through concrete experience. The second choice is involves how we actively experiment with the informations, which can be achieved through either reflective observations or active experimentation. These two choices are interrelated and can lead to different learning styles, such as diverging, assimilating, converging, and accommodating. By understanding these choices and learning styles, we can better understand how individuals learn and educational strategies to meet their needs. Kolb represent each stage of learning cycle along these two intersecting axes. Kolb learning cycle model consists of four stages: concrete experiences, reflective observations, abstract conceptualizations, and active experimentation. These stages are represented along two intersecting axes. So, in the picture below, the horizontal axis depicting the degree of involvement in the experience, and the vertical axis showing the level of reflection. The left side of the model represents the more reflective and introspective stages, while the right side represents the more action-oriented and experimental stages. The model suggests that effective learning involves a cycle of experiencing, reflecting, and conceptualizing, and experimenting with each stage, building on the previous one to create a continuous learning process.
So, in addition to the experiential learning cycle, David Kolb also developed learning styles to illustrate different ways people naturally take in information. So, Kolb's four learning styles are diverging or feeling and watching, assimilating or watching and thinking. Next is the converging or doing and thinking. And lastly, the accommodating, the doing or the doing and feeling. So, sa theory do kuno ni Kolb's, people have a tendency to have one of these four distinct styles which impacts the way they learn. So, number 1, diverging. KOLB'S called this learning style diverging because these learners perform better in situations that require idea generation and explain multiple ideas and concepts in mind. So, ang mga individuals daw nga prefer ani nga learning style, they tend to enjoy tasks such as brainstorming ideas and working collaboratively in groups. So, number 2, assimilating. So, an assimilating learning style could also be seen as the think and watch style. After all, the individual's learning characteristics as abstract conceptualization and reflective observation. So, individuals who demonstrate this learning style are able to review the facts and assess the experience as a whole. So, they tend to enjoy designing experiments and working on projects from start to completion. So, ila jung gahumanon. So, kung sa ilang nasugdan, of course, ila jung humanon. So, next is converging. KOLB named this learning style converging as these learners tend to converge on the answers they want. They have a preference for abstract conceptualization and active experimentation. It is also referred to as a think and do style. So, individuals who prefer this learning style are able to make decisions and apply their ideas to new experiences. So, dili pareha sa divergers, they tend to avoid people and perceptions, choosing instead to find technical solutions. And lastly, the active experimentation. Individuals with the accommodating learning style prefer hands-on experiences where they can rely on intuition rather than logic. So this feel and do style indicates a preference towards concrete experience and reflective observation. So, kini daw kuno nga mga individuals, gagamit daw sila og trial and error to guide their experiences, preferring to discover the answers for themselves. So, they are able to alter their path based on circumstances and generally have good people skills. So, that's all that David Kolb's learning theory, experiential learning cycle all about. So, once again, we are the group 5 and thank you and God bless.